inviting me today to your session after the very, very tiring meeting which you must have had. I will not bore you, and I don't want anybody to be yawning. I'm sure the ladies have come later, so they will help me. I would like to start off by asking you, how many people have mobile phones? Tell me honestly. Okay, now tell me how many have two phones? I always find somebody with two phones. Now, which are the two phones you have, sir? Can you give him a mic over there?
One for his wife and one for his girlfriend.
No, that is different.
One is iPhone, one is Nokia.
Okay. Can you open your iPhone? Go into General, or Settings, first Settings, then General, then About,
Yes.
then go down, scroll it right down to Legal,
Yes.
then go straight down to RF exposure, the last line under Legal.
Although this device has been tested to determine ACR in
No,
English.
you're on RF exposure, right?
Sorry, yeah, I've gone to RF.
Now try and increase the font.
Yes.
Can you increase the font?
Yes.
Which phone is it?
iPhone 6.
6. That's why you can. In my phone, they make sure that I cannot read it, so that I cannot increase the font.
Oh.
Now, how many people would have read this condition, which is there in the phone? Tell me honestly. You are not read it.
No.
It says very clearly, keep the phone 5 millimeter away from your body. And if you saw the earlier models, it said 5/8 of an inch.
Okay.
Then they came, when we started propagating this in various forums, they brought it down to 15 mm, 10 mm, and now 5 mm. But nobody uses it like this. They've done this only for legal grounds, because supposing there's a case and somebody is got a glioma in America, first thing they will go and say, have you read our conditions? Do you keep the phone 5 millimeter away from the body? No. And then your case fails totally. So if there was no harm, they would not have written this. Okay. Now, do you have cordless phones at home? Do you know cordless phones are 10 times more harmful than a mobile phone? Because of the high frequency the base station has. Cordless phones are also just like mobile phones and antenna. Only thing is you have a base station in your bedroom or drawing room, and you would like to hear on the cordless phone sitting in the end of the flat. And that's why you have the highest frequency cordless phone. And that is why the radiation is very, very high, even from the cordless phone. In fact, one of my friends has had such a big fight with her husband, and they have removed all cordless phones from the whole building. Okay. How many stay opposite to a mobile tower antenna? How far away?
Around 600 to 700 meters.
600 to 700 meters. Are you sure?
Essentially, MTNL has its office next door to us. They have got mobile towers on there.
Okay. That's probably.
No, Siam.
Okay. What about you? How far? Okay. Anyway, those who are staying opposite to mobile tower antennae also are affected with radiation.
What should be the distance?
Very good question. We have asked that to the Cellular Operators Association Director General, Mr. Rajan Matthews, through Barkhadat on the latest NDTV program which we had. She asked him, Debbie, do you stay opposite to mobile towers? He said, yes, yes. So she asked him, tell me how many meters away? It's half a kilometer. Yeah. Then she asked another doctor who was present and who was saying that there is no effect of this. Would you stay opposite to a mobile tower antenna? And the prompt answer was a big no. If there was no harm from radiation, they would not say this. A Wi-Fi router also should not be kept in the bedroom or close to, or turn it off when you are not using it. That is one of the important things. We will give you the do's and don'ts later on. Now we come to antennae. There are various kinds of antennae which are nowadays being done. Now this is the normal one. This is called a sector antenna. This is the 2G and 3G. Then came at Marmarin Club a camouflaged antenna like a lamp post. They told the members and the planning committee that these are boosters and not antennae. But the only thing is, they made a big mistake in sending out SMS messages to the residents close by, who were their customers. Then don't worry, now we have strengthened the network and you will get signals. My friends did get it for a short time till I remember. I'm sorry for that. And nowadays we have the 4G antenna, which is a broader one, and a smaller one. When you see these kind of antennae, these are the 4G antennae. And this is a monopole antenna because they want that we do not find out that they have installed a new antenna. So they are going in for various changes. Next. Now this is a Professor Magda Abbas of Trent University, Canada. She explains very beautifully about the 2G, 3G and 4G antennae.
In order for us to be able to have a conversation about this, I think it's really important to understand some key concepts and terms. And this is something I teach at Trent University, so I'm just going to introduce you to some of the concepts that I share with my students as well. And this is called Antennas 101. This is called a cellular base station, and it consists of a tower that holds the antennas. In Europe, they call it a mast. So that's how you might be able to see it in the literature. It has, this particular one has quite a few antennas on it, and it's in Toronto, by the way. The third part of one of these cellular base stations is the cabin that contains the electrical supply. Now, these antennas look very different and they have different functions. The ones at the top are omnidirectional, which means they radiate in all directions. And one of the ways that you can think about them is like an incandescent light bulb that simply gives light in all directions. We have some that are point-to-point antennas, and here you can imagine a laser, where you beam the laser to another antenna that picks up the signal. And the third type of antenna we have here is called a sector antenna, which simply radiates in a certain direction.
Now,
and one of the ways...
Let's go to the next slide. I'm going a little bit fast because I've been asked by your president to see to it that we finish as soon as possible. Now, what better proof would I like to give you all than our Prime Minister Narendra Modi is saying, next slide, the disuse or overuse of electronic and electrical apparatus causes radiation threat not only for the users, but to the innocents in ambience. All are being victimized. There is an urgent need urgent and very essential need for assimilation of awareness about the hidden danger to the health of the masses. He goes on to say, microwaves and radiation through mobile towers have proved killers to the birds and creatures. Aren't we creatures? And this is under his signature. Next. This is how the sector antennae works. The 2G or 3G or 4G. What happens is that these are the lobes which go on. And I will show you a case study of Usha Kiran building where Dr. Gokhale's wife has died, Anu Grover has died, and another 4 people have died. Go back. Back. Now you see that the radiation also goes down. So the top story, sorry.
Please take the mic.
Sorry. The top story people are also affected because the radiation goes down and it is going in a parabol, both on the vertical plane and in the horizontal plane. You can see both ways it's going this way. And it is maximum in the main lobe and less in the lower lobes. Next. Usha Kiran building and Vijay Apartments. This is a case from 2011 where these towers caused 6 cancer cases. All of them in these main lobe. It did not happen to the lower floors, it did not happen to the top floors. But where it was in the main lobe, those people were affected. And this distance was not 5 meters, 10 meters, even 50 meters. You know that between Vijay Apartments and Usha Kiran, there is a road and Usha Kiran is a little bit back. Next. Now, it is interesting for my friends from the Chartered Accountants to know what is International Commission of Non-Ionizing Radiation Protection. Because the whole radiation is was based on ICNIRP norms. The Council of Europe says that ICNIRP is an NGO whose origin and structure are none too clear and which is furthermore suspected of having rather close links with the industries. Can we rely on such an organization? We cannot rely on such organizations to recommend any norms and we have to follow them because the same person who is heading the ICNIRP was appointed as the World Health Organization Committee in Chief. So all he did was copy paste. Next. Now, what is radiation? Radiation is a simple formula. It is the power output from the antenna which we have seen, maybe 10 watts, 1 watt, 20 watts, 40 watts, multiplied by the antenna gain which is a constant, divided by 4 pi r squared. R is the distance between the antenna and me. Therefore, in Bombay City, I cannot change the distance. So what can I do? I can only reduce the power output, and this is what is happening. They don't want to reduce the power output because they will have to put up more antennae, higher infrastructure costs. Higher the power, higher the radiation. Higher the radiation, wider my coverage. Wider my coverage, lower my infrastructure costs. Lower my infrastructure costs, I can pack off my profits back to England. I'm talking about Vodafone. Next. Now this is what was there. The norms for 900 megahertz was 4,500. After we removed the towers in Sahyadri and we fought with the government, they appointed an interministerial committee. They went in for various other ways of trying to reduce the norms. So what did they the Interministerial Committee report clearly says that as for the recommendations of the industry, they brought the norms down to 10%. When asked, the Secretary of DOT mentioned that, don't worry, Mr. Munshi. I said, how many readings did you have above 450 and above between 4,500 and 450? He says 95% of the readings are below 450. Why are you worried? I said, then this is an eyewash, because there was no reduction in radiation levels at the ground level. They are very proud and mention on the TV and other places that we have the most stringent norms in the world, which also I will disprove it in the next slides. And they also say that we have brought it down to 10% of our overall. But they have brought down the norms, not the actual radiation levels. That is the difference. And the ignorant and unaware citizens swallow all this information given by politicians and industry. Next. Next. Now here it is. Juhi Chawla and myself, together with her lady Veena Singhal from Pedaro, we were the only 3 citizens who were invited by the Parliamentary Standing Committee in 2014 to give a voice of the citizens. We were the last to give our presentation and they were very, very happy. I can record that. Now, in the Parliamentary Standing Committee report, they mentioned the lackadaisical approach of the Department of Telecommunications is not appreciated by the Parliamentary Standing Committee. What does this show? It shows these people in a very bad state. They are doing things only in connivance with the industry. There I found this very important information which the DOT has given it to the Parliamentary Standing Committee. It says Bulgaria, Italy, Lithuania, Poland and Russia. And these are not any banana republics. Their norms are 100 milliwatts per square meter. Compared to ours, 450, 900 and 1000. These are for all 3 frequencies, they have the same norm. Why should India have 5 to 10 times higher than this? This 2100, 1000 is for 4G, mind you. And we are going to get 4G towers in any open space around because BMC has given them a permission. And we are fighting tooth and nail against this. Next. The risks and health hazards start off with fatigue, headaches, loss of sleep, memory loss, ringing ears, and other things. It is not cancer straight away. Cancer comes up, depends on the immunity of the person. It can be 1 month, it can be 5 years, it can be 10 years, as what we have seen in the case of Usha Kiran. Next. In 2011, 31st May, World Health Organization has classified EMF radiation as possibly carcinogenic, which is group 2B, based on an increased risk of glioma, which is a malignant type of brain cancer. We have had many people who have had this. We have had the Gem Palace people in Jaipur, the Kasliwal, 2 brothers got it, their dog also got it, and the same kind of glioma, because they were staying at about 5 meters away from the entity. Next. Now, the ladies know it, and I think all of us know that the child's skull is very, very soft. And as it grows, the skull becomes hard and harder. Nowadays, children have been given phones, iPads, all that is not good. We do not recommend that phones or iPads or any kind of radiation is close to the children. This is another interesting one, and those who speak Gujarati will like it.
I started believing in this when I actually started seeing patients and keeping all the literature aside. First-hand information with people in front actually suffering was the clue to go into them. Yesterday I had a boy who came, then we did his MRI scan. He felt something abnormal after using the phone for long periods. In fact, I tell you, last week, and I can tell you with specificity, there is one minister in Maharashtra, his PA had come. And he told me that whole day he's on the phone. Whole day, because he said all my work is on the phone. Whole day I'm on the phone. And both sides, now he finds his hearing down, so we got his audiogram done. This is last week. And his hearing is down around 40%. So I told him to use the landline as far as possible and started him on steroids straight away. I mean, there was no other option left. Classical example is that people using it on one side are getting it, then they switch over to the other side and then they get the same symptom on the other side. So Gujarati gentleman was there, he came and he was using it on one side and his hearing went down. Then he started using it on the other ear. And when the other ear he started developing tinnitus and then all symptoms. He came. I said, when one side you had a problem, why did you stop? Why did you use it on the other side? The answer was, हमारे पास है unlimited talk time. Actually, one of these Australian reports are there that acoustic neuromas, the incidence is 50% higher in those who are using cell phones for a longer period. And these acoustic neuromas are actually from the auditory nerve, which is the 8th nerve, and the covering.
Okay, I'll cut short this video, but I will give you the web links for all those people who want to have the web links. I'll send it to your secretary. Next one is what we are trying to tell the government is, please adopt the precautionary principle. The precautionary principle as laid down by the law of European Union says very clearly, if an action or policy has a suspected risk of causing harm to the public or to the environment, the action or policy is harmful. The burden of proof that it is not harmful falls on those taking an action, that is the operators, and not on my fellow citizens, the victims. The principle implies that there is a social responsibility to protect the public from exposure to harm when scientific investigation has found a plausible risk. And this has been accepted even by the Supreme Court in many cases. Next. This is for people who want to know what is the difference between 1G, 2G, 3G, and 4G, and whether I would like to have a 3G or a 4G, and what benefit will I get. This building actually is where Asha Bhosle stays and Uma Ben stays. They had a problem and they came too late with the problem because they had installed the tower and then they came to us. They should not have permitted them to install the tower in the garden. Luckily, they have not installed the antenna. This is a 4G tower of Reliance. It's hardly 40 meters away from this building. So 1G, the earlier type of phones were analog, which was only voice. Then we got 2G, which was voice and data. 2G, everybody associated with the lovely 2G scams. 3G is voice and data at a higher speed. Now 4G is 3G plus live streaming of videos at much higher speed at 3G. Who needs 4G? The organizations who have to download data, a lot of data, yes. It's not the common man you are empowering with 4G, which is totally wrong and false. Do you want the common man to be affected with the radiation because he can download a film? Is that the phone meant for? The phone is is not meant to propagate films and movies or to the children who watch porn nowadays. So it's not meant for that. Next. 4G norms, as I told you, are double than the normal 2G, 3G norms. If 450 is harmful to me, is 1000 milliwatts not harmful? 4G goes at 40 watts. 2G, 3G goes at 20 watts. Why? In America, we just discovered after doing research that in the urban areas, they are not permitted more than 1 watt. So why should we be at 20 and 40? The same answer comes back. Higher the power, higher the radiation. Higher the radiation, finally more my profits. Next. Now, this is another very interesting thing like the Prime Minister's quote. In 2012, they issued half-page advertisements. All my lovely auditors should know how much a half-page advertisement in a national daily can cost. It costs a bomb. And what do they say over there? If you have a choice, use a landline, into bracket wired, not even a cordless phone, and not a mobile phone. If there was no harm of this radiation, why would they say so? They also say, keep the phone away as much as possible, be short on your phones. Why should the government advertise in half-page advertisements? Next. So these are a few expert videos. If you have the time, I can show you one or two. Sure. Yeah? Okay. This is Dr. Aruna Saxena, infertility expert. Who was with me in
फोन के यूसेज थर्मल इफेक्ट है मैं उसकी बात करूँ जो हम लोग आज की डेट में देख रहे हैं मैं अपने यंग व्यूअर्स को बताना चाहूंगी मैं इन्फर्टिलिटी एक्सपर्ट हूँ आज की डेट में मेल इन्फर्टिलिटी के प्रॉब्लम 40% है अगर हमारे पास इन्फर्टाइल कपल आता है 40% केसेस में मेल पार्टनर इज रिस्पांसिबल एंड देयर आर वेरियस प्रूवन स्टडीज विद द कांस्टेंट यूज ऑफ मोबाइल फोन आपका स्पर्म काउंट ड्रॉप करता है उसकी क्वालिटी ड्रॉप करती है एंड जो उसकी फर्टिलाइज करने की कैपेसिटी स्पर्म की ड्रॉप करती है एंड दिस हैज बीन प्रूवन बाय वेरियस स्टडीज तो मैं इन लोगों को उसके बारे में स्टडीज बताइए जिन्होंने ये प्रूव किया है कि ऐसा होता है मतलब ऐसी कई सारी स्टडीज हैं आप लोग ये ग्लोबल स्टडीज आप लोग सर्च कर सकते हैं डाल के
वेबसाइट में भी है और दूसरी बात है कि लास्ट सितंबर वाज द मंथ फॉर अवेयरनेस ऑफ पीसीओएस एंड पीसीओडी अब तो जो लेडीज हैं तो जीन्स में यहाँ रखते हैं बैक पॉकेट में रखते हैं और फुल ऑन रहता है उससे exponential increase in one rate of PCOS and PCOD that is called polycystic ovarian disease. This is only to create awareness to you all.
मैं आपकी बात से सहमत हूँ क्योंकि मैं अपनी क्लिनिकल प्रैक्टिस में सब चीजें देख रही हूँ I don't know to prove myself बट हम लोग देख रहे हैं कि स्पर्म काउंट ड्रॉप कर रहा है एंड जैसे ही हम लोग उनको बताते हैं कि आप मोबाइल फोन अपने ट्राउजर के पॉकेट से रिमूव करिए रात में सोते टाइम अपने कमरे से बाहर रखिए इट इज नॉट टेंशन एंड मिनिमल यूज करिए तो आपके हम लोग जब उनको कुछ महीनों के बाद एनालाइज करते थे डेफिनेटली ड्रास्टिक इंप्रूवमेंट इन द क्वालिटी एंड पीसीओ की आपने बात की पीसीओ केसेस की आजकल 30% लड़कियों को पीसीओडी होता है तो अभी राइट में उसके प्रूवन स्टडीज नहीं हुई कि मोबाइल फोन के यूज से होता है बट आई वुड बी सरप्राइज अगर आफ्टर टेलिंग समबडी टेस्ट मी इट वाज बिकॉज़ ऑफ मोबाइल फोन यूज
Ashish Mehta. Ashish Mehta is a spinal surgeon at Beach Candy Hospital and also at the Safi Hospital. He is very proud.
Think of an organ system and dysfunctions. Think of the eye pains, blurring of vision, not being able to see in the night. Ear pains, difficulty of hearing, ringing in the ears, inability of hearing on both the sides, not being able to understand the direction of sound, inability to sleep properly, easy fatigability, memory disturbances. We talk about whatever you want. These are 3 pictures which have been taken from 3 different studies. Now they look like hairy spots, but if we look at any of these pictures, the first one is the DNA stain which is unexposed to anything, it is completely healthy. The second one, in each picture, is after exposure to X-rays or the gamma radiations, where you actually see the broken tails where the DNA is fragmented. The last picture is somewhere simple cell phone radiation exposure for 22 hours, 24 hours, have produced a similar change, which shows that DNA is leaking. This is one more experiment that was carried out in Russia. They worked on rats. They sacrificed normal rats and studied the brain. They exposed the rats to radiation for X duration at various intervals, and they studied the brain again. And the multiple circles which you see in the lower brain are the actual leakage sites where the radiation had damaged the blood-brain barrier in the rat brain.
Now, Jui has created her own little film on do's and don'ts, and this is called Viral on WhatsApp. All those people who are on WhatsApp must have seen it by now, but we are going to play it for the benefit of those who have not seen it. It has had more than 100,000 hits.
ये रेडियो वेव्स के आधार पर चलता है। आपको लगता होगा आपका सेल फोन जब ऐसे ही पड़ा है, जब आप फोन नहीं कर रहे हैं तो ये काम नहीं कर रहा है। नहीं, ये हर 30-40 सेकंड में एक बार एक रेडियो वेव भेजता है हवा में एंटीना की तरफ। So constantly your phone is working. It is beaming radio waves. Either आपके सेल फोन से या आपके सेल फोन एंटीना के पास या करीब रहने से ओवर लॉन्ग टर्म आपकी हेल्थ पर बुरा असर पड़ सकता है। So just a few do's and don'ts, simple lifestyle changes. आप इस एक्सपोजर को आप रिड्यूस कर सकते हैं। So please adopt this. तो क्या आपको आदत है अपना सेल फोन ऑन रखकर अपने सिरहाने पे रखकर सो जाने की? ये बिल्कुल ही गलत आदत है। इसी वक्त तोड़ दीजिए इसे। जब आप सोते हैं आप अपना फोन दूर रखिए, चार्जिंग पे दूर रखिए, और अगर आपको अलार्म लगाना है फोन पर तो फोन को एयरप्लेन मोड पे रखिए और फिर इट्स ओके टू हैव इट बाय योर साइड। क्या आपको आदत है अपना फोन यहाँ पर अपने दिल के करीब या अपने पॉकेट में यहाँ पर रखकर पूरे दिन घूमने की? ये बहुत गलत आदत है। इसे प्लीज अपने शरीर पर लगाकर मत घूमिए। यू कैन पुट इट इन अ बैग, या जब आप काम कर रहे हैं तो आप अपने पास एक थोड़ी सी दूरी पर टेबल पर रख लीजिए, but do not move around the whole day with your phone in your pocket. BlackBerry manual, iPhone manual में भी लिखा है कि अपने शरीर और फोन के बीच में अंदर 5/8 इंच जरूर रखिए। इसका ये भी मतलब है कि हम जो ये फोन चिपका कर अपने कान पर लंबी लंबी बातें करते हैं, ये भी गलत है। सेल फोन कंपनीज खुद आपको बता रही हैं कि कीप अ डिस्टेंस ऑफ 5/8 इंच या 15 मिलीमीटर के डिस्टेंस पर अपना फोन रखिएगा। अक्सर हम फोन कॉल्स अपनी गाड़ी से करते हैं कि चलो हम बैठे हैं तो ये वक्त हम अपना इस्तेमाल कर लें और सेल फोन पर फोन करते रहते हैं। ये भी गलत बात है। जब आप गाड़ी में होते हैं, जब आप ट्रेन में होते हैं, जब आप एलिवेटर में होते हैं, तो ये जो एलिवेटर है या ट्रेन है, ये जो मेटल की शीट है जो आपके इर्द गिर्द है, इट एक्ट्स लाइक अ माइक्रोवेव ओवन। तो ये जो रेडियो वेव्स हैं यहाँ पर टकराकर वापस आती है, and that intensifies radiation inside the elevator, inside the car, inside the train. क्या आपको महसूस होता है कि जब आप लंबी बात करते हैं सेल फोन पर तो आपके कान गर्म हो जाते हैं? इसका ये मतलब है कि ये जो रेडियो वेव्स आपके फोन से जा रही हैं, ये आपके कान के जो एरिया है, ये पूरा स्किन, ये सॉफ्ट टिश्यूज, ये उनको हीट कर रही है। इट्स लाइक अ माइक्रोवेव इफेक्ट। तो प्लीज कीप योर कॉल्स शॉर्ट। अगर आपको लंबी बात करनी है तो बेस्ट इज गेट अ वायर्ड हेडसेट लाइक दैट, ठीक है, ताकि आपका फोन आपसे थोड़ा दूर रहे और आप अपनी बात कर सकें। वायर्ड हेडसेट, ब्लूटूथ नहीं। अगर आपके पास चॉइस है, लैंडलाइन है, तो सबसे बेस्ट आप अपना सेल फोन हटा दीजिए और लैंडलाइन से फोन करिए। अगर आप फोन ना करें और टेक्स्ट करें तो दैट विल बी इवन बेटर। एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट बात, अपना फोन बच्चों को मत दीजिए, खेलने के लिए दीजिए। बच्चे जो हैं उनकी ये जो हड्डी होती है ये बहुत ही पतली और नाजुक होती है। तो ये जो रेडियो वेव्स हैं जो सेलफोन के लिए इस्तेमाल होते हैं, they travel through your child's brain. So, since we are not sure of the long-term effects of EMF radiation, it is better to be safe than be sorry. So please अपने बच्चों को फोन मत दीजिए। जब आपके फोन पर सिग्नल वीक हो, तो तब फोन का इस्तेमाल मत कीजिए, क्योंकि उस वक्त आपका फोन बहुत रेडिएट कर रहा है। उस वक्त वो रेडियो वेव जोरों से एंटीना को ढूंढ रही है, so that you get connectivity. ऐसे वक्त पर जबकि आपका सिग्नल लो है, आप अपने फोन को प्रेफरेबली इस्तेमाल मत कीजिए। So ये थे कुछ do's and don'ts, अपना लीजिए and reduce your exposure to radio wave activity.
Now I will just give you one small demonstration where we have seen
what Julie said about metal. I will ask my colleague to phone me and you will see that the bell is ringing.
Direct mobile.
Okay. Now I'm going to cover it up with an alu foil, which is basically metal. I will tell her to put her phone on hunting the antenna. The antenna is hunting my phone. Yeah. So how metal plays in radiation and getting signals. The last important thing which I want to clarify is that call drops,
Believe me, call drops are not because of the antennae being removed by Mr. Munshi. I'll tell you very clearly and honestly. First thing is, the Director General of Cellular Operators mentioned on TV that my spectrum allocation is very low, because we had allotted at the time of Raja about 12 to 14 different people. Nowhere in the world are there 12, 14 operators except India. You can think it over why there were so many. Maybe they wanted kickbacks. I'm not alleging. Secondly, if the spectrum allocation is 1/3, then what is there in other countries? Will there not be problems? It is like a 1-lane highway with a 3-lane highway for laymen. I'm just trying to explain that way. And will there be not more traffic on the 1 lane? Then we have now an important thing called the smartphone. We have to be smarter than the smartphone. The smartphone is always downloading data, whether you like it or not. It is not like the old phones when you phoned only or a phone call came, that there was radiation. Here, every time, every second there is some data coming down. So if the antenna is busy with data download, where will my people who want the voice go? So that is the second important thing. Then there are other reasons, but these are the two major ones which has been accepted both by DOT, by the cellular operators and by the TRAI, but they still want to put in this, that activists like Mr. Munshi are pulling down mobile towers and we need more mobile towers. Our suggestion is put in more mobile towers, yes, but reduce the power, as I showed you in the formula. Reduce it to 1 watt. Reduce it to the power which is there in America or any other country in the world. Because the norms are not a solution. It is the actual radiation levels which are going to play havoc with the health of the citizens. I will give you 2 cases. One of Australia. Sorry, I'm extending it because this is very important. I have been to Australia and I have met the chief of ICNRP, Mr. Prakash over there, by sheer accident, and he was very open with me. So he sent me a lot of data. He sent me data which said that Australia has norms of 4,500, 9,000 and 10,000 millivolts compared to ours 450, 900. But the actuals, you will be shocked, are even 10 milliwatts, 15 milliwatts. And this is what the current industry and the government in India are not disclosing. I've got 5 years readings from Australia. The readings are very low. And this is what is more important. Reduce actual radiation levels, not norms. France, also similar thing, 4,500, 9,000, 10,000. 97% of their antennae are at 20 milliwatts. If we agree to ask them to put up more towers, how can I assure myself that they will monitor and only throw out 1 watt? If at today's situation, they are not able to monitor what power they are throwing out, 20 watts, 40 watts, 80 watts, 100 watts, we don't know, and there is no monitoring, and there is no regulations. And now we have a case in High Court where government urban policy of Maharashtra state, the cooperative policy of the Maharashtra state, the municipal policies, all are under stay order for the last 2 to 4 years. If the government machinery is going to be just paralyzed by this industry, the support of the government, how the hell will the citizens protect themselves? I would like to end it with that note and a quote from Mahatma Gandhi. Many people, especially ignorant people, want to punish you for speaking the truth, for being correct, for being you. Never apologize for being correct or for being years ahead of your time. If you're right and you know it, please speak up your mind. Speak your mind. Even if you're a minority of one, the truth will still remain the truth. Thank you. For those of you who want to send questions to us, any questions, we have here papers which you can distribute later on.